podcast, and yeah, we're live. We are now live. Just watch my Fallout frame rate turn to crap. Yeah. Streaming, while also having that doesn't exactly like.
Are you streaming? Are you streaming yet?
I'm streaming right now. We are now live.
Okay.
Okay. So
My friend sent me a TikTok, and I don't think he quite understands what's actually going on in the TikTok, and I do. But I don't want to say anything about it because then we'll get into the fucking weeds, and I have to go dig up a bunch of shit to give context yeah.
You pretty much just used the one F-bomb that I'm willing to allow. Period.
Okay.
It would be nice if you tried to limit that.
This chart is now frickin' PG.
Yes.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So long as you're carrying it.
So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna level with you. Did not expect to just be on a podcast tonight.
Well, I mean, I posted it in general. That, hey, if you join, I'm going to kick off the podcast.
Dude, I do not look at text channels. I'm gonna be honest. I just joined to say hi. You're like, all right, cool, we're starting a podcast. I'm like, oh, well, shoot, guess this is happening.
Well, it seems like you really just had no idea what you were walking into.
Yes, I did have no idea. Also, where is General? I'm not seeing General chat anymore.
It's called Hangout Zone.
Ah, okay, I see. Yeah.
I think it's just super mutants. Fun.
Right. So, you playing some Fallout New Vegas, I'm assuming?
Actually,
4. Ah, that's a good one, too. Controversial opinion. Fallout 4 is not bad. It is not the best. It's not bad, though.
I've heard people like New Vegas more. It just hits different.
Okay, so if you want to get into this, I love both games for different reasons. Fallout New Vegas, I love for the story and for the characters. It is such a I love the story and just how I wouldn't call it the deepest, most expensive story, but there's just there's enough paths and branches to it and different ways that you can take it that I think it's a well fleshed out story and is entertaining. The characters are all also well written and entertaining as well, all with the exception of Raoul, because I never play. I have no opinion of Raoul because I just never. I'm like, man, I really do have to go through all of Black Mountain just to get Raoul. It's like, I'll just take Boone. He's a little bit easier.
Okay then. Yeah, I've only ever played 4. I mean, a friend did gift me New Vegas.
Dude, I would play it. Like, when you get a chance, just play through it, man. It's so good. It is certainly different from 4.
Yeah.
I would say it's okay. So what I like about 4 is what I don't particularly like about New Vegas, and that's the gunplay. I get that it's meant to be kind of an RPG style thing, and there's still I think New Vegas still has some of that like roll of the dice sort of thing behind the scenes, like, you know, damage is like a range, and if like it rolls higher or lower, it's like you can do more damage or less damage. Fallout 4, it's just your gun does damage, you modify your gun, it does more damage. It's just like the gunplay feels a little more impactful because like I don't know if I could be wrong on this. I'm unsure as to if your luck skill actually affects like the damage rolls, or hell, if even New Vegas still has the damage rolls. Because I know 3 did. I know Fallout 3 had that. And it's like it was the one thing that when I tried to play like Dungeons and Dragons Online, it was the one thing that I hated about that because it was like it was an RPG that let you control your character directly, but you would like swing your sword and it would say, "Oh, you missed. Enemy gets a hit on you." You swing your sword, you miss. It's like my sword's passing right through it, and it's yeah. So
Yeah.
I like it for as an FPS game, as like almost a looter shooter sort of thing.
Okay. I suppose kind of what drew me to 4 is slightly the story, but also the settlement system.
What's the link to where you're streaming, by the way?
Oh, I don't have a link pulled up right now, but the channel is Wastelander Stark.
Okay. There's a verified YouTube channel with no name and 1.16 million subscribers.
Well, that's interesting.
It's literally it shows up as a verified check mark. I might just subscribe to this for the meme.
Wait.
Honestly.
Is it a circle with 2 diagonal lines through it?
No, if you go and look it up, the link actually says it's Angel 404.
Oh.
Is the name of the is the vanity link that it has, if that's the right word for it, I think. I'll DM it to you. It looks like it's just like it's just memes or short meme clips.
Okay.
So have you seen any good movies recently?
Good movies. I mean,
How about that Morbius movie?
I suppose it really
I never saw
it depends on your definition of good. No, I haven't really seen any movies of late, frankly.
Yeah.
Especially
I never
or good ones.
Yeah. I haven't seen it personally, but I heard Top Gun is phenomenal.
I've heard of it.
The new Top Gun Maverick is phenomenal.
I've heard of it. No, I haven't seen it, so I can't really give it an opinion.
Yeah, same. My brother saw it and loved it. Everyone I talked to has loved it. I don't know. I've started watching anime
Oh, really? What have you?
reluctantly. Well, I had already kind of started My Hero Academia, and I'm almost fully caught up on it. I got like 13 episodes left, but I binge watched it a little too hard, so now I'm like taking a break from it and watching some other stuff before finishing it up.
All right. My Hero's pretty good.
It's good. I have my issues with it, but overall it's a solid anime. I've also went back and watched Lupin the Third. Some of that. That one's fucking great. Oops, I said the word.
Yeah.
Hit the bleep out playback button. Go. Rewind 5 seconds.
I actually don't have that set.
Oh no.
I have none of that set up, and it's kind of hard to access everything.
That highway.
Shoot. Shoot.
Yeah.
I also one anime that I had actually watched the entirety of, but it was so long ago that I remember none of it. I'm just like, I'm gonna go back and watch it. Was Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah. You know, there was actually this huge thing about them making a live action, and stuff going on with that, and a bunch of the fans like really hated what they were doing with it. I never really got into looking at the live action or anything, but frankly, generally, from what I've heard, when people try and make a live action recreation of something, it doesn't end all that well.
Yeah, I think part of it. I never actually watched it because it was made by Netflix, and I know exactly what that means. And not to say that Netflix hasn't made anything good, I can't really call anything to mind right this second, but
Actually,
shit.
Ajin, Demi-Human is actually a Netflix original anime, and I kind of enjoyed that one.
Yeah, isn't Stranger Things Netflix, or is that?
I don't know. I've never really watched Stranger Things. Here I am, a D&D
I haven't. I
guy, and I've
haven't.
never watched Stranger Things.
I haven't. Yeah, I have. I haven't seen it either. But I actually is. I'm gonna pull it up here quickly. I want. Is it a Netflix original? I think it might be. IMDb. Does this say what the studio is? And that gives the cast. Country of origin, filming locations, production companies. Yeah, Netflix is one of the production companies on it. It's also distributed. It was 21 Laps Entertainment, Monkey Massacre, and Netflix are the production companies. And then the distributors, it's on Netflix and Warner Home Video.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just the Blu-ray.
Okay, so Netflix contributed to it, not exactly that they.
No, they're one of the main production companies on it. I think it is owned by Netflix.
Okay. Oh. The things you learn.
Yeah. I don't know. From everything I've heard, it is a good series.
I mean, it very well may be. I just never been into looking into it, really. So.
Yeah.
I can't say for certain.
I don't currently have Netflix, so I can't really watch it.
Funny thing about Netflix, though, a little more recently, I mean, it's been weeks, maybe,
Yes.
Netflix just kind of went, hey, we're no longer going to restrict content on our, on our platform, and any lefties who have an issue with that, maybe you should find another place of work.
I do remember that.
So, but they were apparently coming out with a bunch of just woke trash. Stuff like He's Expecting, which I haven't even seen, but it's just like some of.
There was the whole controversy. There was the whole controversy with Cuties as well.
I haven't heard of that bit.
It's a movie about a bunch of 12-year-olds who are portrayed by 14-year-old actresses doing like competitive dances or competitive dance troupe or whatever. But it takes a little. It gets a little bit like weirdly. It's a bunch of 12-year-olds. It gets raunchy, and like they do like not quite like dance. There's like they do some like what would be classified but as done by anyone else as sexy dancing.
Ah.
So and then there's I have not seen it myself. I don't want to see it.
I don't think I want to see it
a lot of gratuitous shots. It's definitely like. And then they tried to be like, hey guys, this is a movie about why you shouldn't sexualize children, and it's like, yeah, but did you really need to like leave the camera like zoom in on the 12-year-old's ass for 20 seconds while she's dancing? Like, do you really need to do that? Like,
it's like you say, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this, and you're doing it in the process of trying to say don't do this.
Yeah. What's your? I think the don't do this was an excuse. It was made by like a French director and won like awards at I don't know if it was Sundance or another film festival. What channel were you on again?
Wasteland.
Wasteland Shark. Okay.
If you need help, I can actually.
I know how to use YouTube. Thanks.
Okay. It should look like a cloaked figure with some dice.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
I'm the only one watching.
You're the only one watching. Well, hey, well, welcome to the channel.
Hey, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, welcome to the stream, boy.
Hi. So, hi in chat.
Chat. You said hi.
Yeah.
I can't
I said hi.
see it right now because I have it
Yeah.
minimalized because it messes with my frame rate like crazy.
Yeah. I just switched to bug, so give me 1 sec to go wash my hands. You'll be able to hear me, but I'm gonna take off my headphones. So hold on.
Yeah. Random basket. Okay. Ooh, hi.
Who do you think actually won the war? Nobody, I guess.
Yeah, but like with my I'm trying to keep things uncontroversial with my wording. So, but you know, I don't think there's anyone watching other than me. So
I think the biggest issues me and YouTube have had so far are spreading medical disinformation.
if you drink bleach, you'll live forever.
Okay, don't say that, because that's false. That's false. That's clearly false. You'll die.
I don't know. Hey, I don't know. Have you done it? Have you tried it?
Think of potential negative consequences for
I'm
such an
aware. I'm aware. I'm the only one watching this right now. There is nothing. Nobody will see this.
This is going to remain on my channel for a while. You understand this, right?
Yes.
Okay. But
I just want to say on stream, my audio is really, really loud. Let me turn my gain down. Hold on. All right, how am I now? Let me see.
I mean, you still seem perfectly fine to me. Was it just a lone dude here, or is there going to be more people in here, more person? I can't talk.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, there's another one. You in here? Ooh.
Somebody.
Hey, come
I just listened to myself on stream. I'm still really loud.
Hey, toss anything you can't haul
Oh,
my
boy.
way.
All right. Let's pull up some fork knife.
Fork knife? Are you eating?
Fork knife.
What's for
No.
dinner?
I had Chipotle for dinner.
Oh.
I ate some Chipotle while I was at axe throwing tonight.
Axe throwing?
Yes, I throw axes.
How'd you do?
I did pretty well for having not thrown in a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've gone out shooting. When
Man. Dude, I don't know, like, I'm okay. I'm, like, pretty decent at it. There are some people that are, like, that consider me, like, one of the best at the place. And I'm like, am I? I mean, I think I won one of the league tournaments by kind of pure luck. But
Pure luck.
basically how the pairings worked for the tournament, my opponent, or I ended up getting paired up with people that had to throw consecutive rounds. So they would be like, you know, they'd have just thrown against someone, then I would step up and throw another round against them. So, and then the woman I was up against in the final round, she had to beat me twice to win. I only had to beat her once, and she had just thrown like 5 consecutive rounds. And each round is 15 throws.
Oh boy.
So she had just thrown like 15 times 5, the
To think somebody might
75.
that's kind of like going to turn out like sexist or something because
Someone's coming.
you want
It wasn't,
a girl.
well, sure, but no, it's basically it's actually quite the opposite, because it's all based around
Skill.
how, well, no, so basically how the seeding for the tournament works is it's an 8-week league.
Ah.
Throughout the 8 weeks, we all throw, we do, 30 throws for points, and then 2 mini games, winners of which get points. Essentially, the number of points that you get determines your seeding in that tournament.
Sweet.
Okay, so if you
And this time around, they decided to try something different with the tournament. So, yeah, they basically they ordered things differently than they had before. And I mean, it wasn't like they've since gotten rid of that one or that method and gone back to the other method, which is just standard bracket. That one was like a double, or it's always been double elimination, but anyway. Yeah, I have done 3 leagues, no, 4 leagues, and then this would be my 5th. I have taken first place in one of the tournaments. I took second place in the last tournament I was in, and then the other 2 I took 5th and 7th. So, and then there's a handful of people who we all consider to be the top throwers at the place. There's a dude that's actually thrown like competitively with the World Axe Throwing League. There's a woman whose like main hobby is axe throwing. She has constructed her own axes, and
Really?
like she has her own practice range that she throws on, and it's like one of her like competitive hobbies. And then there's another guy who has just been throwing recreationally for years, so he's just gotten super good at it. And then I've actually gotten like
When was the last time
pretty decent at it. I can stick my axe consistently. I can hit in the general area that I want, but my precision is a little bit off. I can't quite get my aim as finely tuned as I would like it to be, because if you stick your axe at the wrong angle, or you stick it in, if your blade sticks in at the wrong angle, or it's like tilted to one side, it could mean that the difference between you hit the bullseye and miss the bullseye. Because I've had a blade go in, it's stuck at a 45-degree angle, which is about what you want, but it was tilted to the side by about 45 degrees as well, meaning it was just in the black circle outside of the bullseye. And ruling at the place where I play at is it has to cut, as long as your blade is cutting the red, it counts.
That's
So I think the issue is the axe that I currently have is, while it is a solid axe, it's a cold steel 14-inch Chinese style throwing hatchet that I've modified to I've put lacrosse stick tape on the handle to give me a better grip so it doesn't slip.
So you think it might have just gotten unbalanced or something?
No, I don't think it's that. I think the problem with it is that it's just slightly too light. The thing about a lighter axe is that it doesn't put a lot of strain on your arm when you throw it, and it's a lot easier to like adjust. You can do a lot more maneuvering. You can also throw it at the board you don't have to wing it as hard to get it to hit. It's also a bit more controllable than, say, like a heavier axe head. Thing is, though, if you go too light, your axe can actually has more room to deviate after you throw it. So you're like, if it's too light, it'll actually wobble, like start wobbling as it flies. The thing I want to try to do is there are World Axe Throwing League axes, like actually made by the World Axe Throwing League. that are used for like, competition. And these things are like they're like $100. They're like really well made, good weight, like almost perfect balance on them, and they're actually quite easy to maintain. Thing is, $100.
Yeah.
The one that I currently have is $40, and the cross stick tape cost me about $10. So I did just get my tax return, so which was about like $400. So I might actually like take a little chunk of that and throw it at my a bit of it I'm gonna throw into my student loan repayment stuff. The other one's probably gonna be I'm gonna take 100 of it and buy a nicer axe. And the axe I want is slightly heavier than the one that I have, which means that I can still throw it about the same as the one that I have, but with very minimal adjustment. But it will also allow it to not wobble as much.
See.
It'll just give it a little bit smoother of flight.
That should be good.
I'm still the only one watching.
Yeah, that happens. I am a very small channel. I mean, if you look at my subscribers, I only have like, what, 34?
You're 36 now.
Ah, thank you, my friend. Yes, please like and subscribe. I am. This is just two random blokes hanging out right now.
Yes. Please like and subscribe, he says to the guy on the podcast with him.
Well, hey, this is gonna remain on the channel forever. Other people are gonna come along and watch this.
True.
But seriously, yeah, today, I mean, yeah, we brought it up earlier, so I'm just going to run with that. Today, though, with today's society and everything, how we choose to label or sexualize things, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. If you ask me, I'm a religious guy. I'm like, I don't really think like we should be sexualizing things. I think it should be like just kind of keep it to yourself, or your inner circle, or people who want to hear about it. Keep it away from kids. And honestly, what you do in your private time, I don't really care.
I mean, I suppose that's a pretty decent stance to have, but there are other things that are just, well, you said keep it away from kids. Yeah, I think most sane people can agree with that bit.
Unfortunately, there's some less than sane people, in my opinion, that are trying to force it down younger. Well, I probably shouldn't say it like that. They're trying to force it upon younger and younger children.
Yeah, I would agree that is a decent problem.
Good. This is how we're gonna take
Yeah,
But it's not
small
always
victory at
just
a
the
time.
sexualization, but it's also
Our work
the
is never done.
gender
It's what we signed up
identities
for.
and alignments
scouts
and
have found the
whatnot.
problem.
Well, I mean,
I think
it's
that's-
if you want to. I look at it like this: if you want to have a conversation about it, then fine, we'll have a conversation about it. But I think the problem is that younger children don't. Younger children generally are they're more impressionable.
Yeah.
They don't really they don't really think things through. They just take if they hear something from someone they trust, usually a teacher or their parents or what have you, they'll just take it to heart and believe it. Kids aren't really capable of complex cognition just simply because they're not developed enough for it.
Right.
Like, and the thing is, like, that you can give the appearance that they are by, you tell them something and then have them regurgitate it later. Like, that's kind of just what learning is. But the thing that you need to do is cognizance, which comes with age, as you develop.
Yeah, with kids, that's probably the biggest part, is that they are not ready for this. They are not developed enough for this, and that's.
Children are in. Sorry. Go ahead.
Something else that kind of came up a little more recently was still like a couple of days ago. One of our senators or something, I don't remember who it was, but it's just like, 18 is too young to own a gun. And somebody else kind of makes a point, so they shouldn't be serving in the military then? I mean,
Yeah.
if you say 18 is not old enough to own a gun and yet still want to send them off to war, I feel like there's a slight conflict in there.
Well,
But
here's the
other
thing.
You also say that 18
Well, look.
isn't old enough to own a gun, and then you're like, oh, well, 5-year-olds should be able to identify and tell us what they want to be, gender-wise.
Well, I can explain that one perfectly to you. I just don't think about it, man. Just don't think about it. That's basically it's the why is like what you're saying doesn't make sense. Yeah, just trust me, dude. No, yeah, it's like you're looking at something that doesn't make sense and expecting it like expecting it to make sense, I guess.
Well, it's never going to make sense. I mean, if
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not going to make sense, but they're going to try to push it anyway.
my thing about that is if you shouldn't own a gun until you're 18, which I'm perfectly fine with keeping it like that. Okay,
Yep.
I think, buying a gun and carrying a gun. I mean, there's a reason why we have the Second Amendment. Okay, and
Exactly.
I feel like that should be protected and utilized properly. Okay,
Yes.
and
Well, let me interject here and say there's a difference between just owning a gun and carrying a gun. That's why that's why you need, in a lot of places, you need the concealed carry permit. And then there's also some places that just bypass that entirely and say, if you have a gun, you are allowed to carry it. Now, I do agree that you should have the right to carry a gun. However, with the constitutional carry thing, I still think that you should probably, at least know how to use the gun.
yes,
You should know. You should at least kind of show that you're responsible enough with it. Because while I do agree that you should have every right to keep a gun, carry a gun, with the carry bit, I still think there has to be you gotta show like you actually are, mature enough and are capable of carrying one responsibly.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
Yes.
I certainly wouldn't hand a gun over to someone who obviously doesn't know how to handle it. Okay,
Yes.
I can definitely agree that if you're going to own a gun, you need to properly you need to be able to properly demonstrate its proper use and safety, and demonstrate
Yes.
that you're not going to go all wacko crazy with it.
However, I don't think that should preclude you from owning one, or like you keep it in a lockbox in your dresser, or you keep it in a gun safe. You take
Yeah.
it, just take it to the range.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between the guy who owns like an AR-15 to just go take it to the range because he enjoys target shooting, and then the guy that you own a pistol for target shooting, or you own rifles for hunting or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and just carrying one with you in your daily life. Like, I know plenty of people that conceal carry all the time, but they are very responsible people. I also know some people who don't do that, and I would never want them to because they're probably not responsible enough to do so.
Yeah, and I can certainly agree with that. I can see that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm also of the opinion, if you know what you're doing, there really shouldn't be any much if any restriction on what you can own. If you know your way around around a gun, you're responsible with your stuff, then I see no reason why people just can't own big machine guns.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't used to be a thing of machine gun restriction back in 1900s, early 1900s. I mean, it wasn't a huge thing restricting ownership of automatics.
One of the things there's a common misconception that the Tommy gun was everywhere. It was super common, and
Expensive. It was
yeah.
Not everybody had it.
It was-
Only those who could
they
afford
were-
it really had any amount.
Yes. there were Tommy guns around, but you didn't see them all the time because they were expensive as heck. Like you just like people just couldn't get them
Yeah.
unless they got like they got like war war stuff that was like smuggled out from like battlefields and stuff.
War trophies.
I wouldn't say war trophies. I would say like plunder, essentially.
Okay.
Like there are like battlefield scavengers who will go out or like when they were like back when back when war actually had like battlefields instead of like we nowadays war has kind of become who can out guerrilla tactics the other.
Yeah.
So we don't really have like large scale battles with battlefields or stuff anymore. But back when you did, it's been a thing. As far as I can tell, it's been a thing for since we've had big battles. People would go in and gather up swords and shields and armor bits from fallen enemies or fallen soldiers,
Hey,
and then they would sell it.
Gear. It's free gear.
It's free gear, yeah. And the people would go and get. They just go in and scavenge stuff before everything got cleaned up.
Yep. Now, here's still the thing, though. Even though it was still very expensive, and you didn't see them around a lot. It's not like
should also state-
restricted.
I should also state that if I'm incorrect on this, bite me, but you're also probably right.
I mean, as far as I know, they weren't really heavily restricted. So
I'm unsure, honestly. Of like the levels of restriction. We could probably pull it up, but
okay.
I'm in the middle of Fortnite.
Here, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because I think there was some kind of restriction, but I don't know if it was. I don't know how extensive it was. Oh, they're giving away all the rainbow emotes in Fortnite.
okay. Okay, so let's see here. Federal law prohibits the possession of newly manufactured machine guns, but permits the transfer of machine guns lawfully owned prior to May 19, 1986, if the transfer is approved by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives.
Yes.
As
So
a
that's
result-
modern restrictions.
Yeah, that's modern restrictions. Okay, and I believe that you can still get them, but it's an extra tax stamp. You gotta pay
Yes.
quite a bit extra for it.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like they're outright banned, which some people think that they are, and some people would like them to be, but it's more of a hassle to get, and
That's the thing.
most people
Only
just don't want to go through that hassle.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people think that full automatic weapons are just out everywhere. Everyone has there are some people who think that the AR-15 is an automatic rifle,
No.
and it just shows, and then every time I hear someone start say something like that, or just say something that's so hilariously wrong. I mean, I want to hear what they have to say, but I also at the same time can't help but kind of subconsciously disregard everything they're saying because they've already kind of showed me that they have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
It's like I frankly don't really want to hear. I don't want to hear or / care for the opinion of someone who just doesn't know anything about what they're talking about.
Howdy, friend. Grab a seat by the fire. Everyone.
So,
How's it going, friend? You're welcome to join us. Pull up a patch of dirt, stump, old
So,
tire, whatever.
But
suits you.
yeah.
yeah.
Take a load off
Yeah,
and
I
stay a
mean,
while.
most people don't
Good
have
fellowship's
automatic
on the
weapons.
house.
No, AR-15s are
Drinks
not
are how I
automatic
keep
weapons.
bodies
It
until we
stands
get-
AR stands
Gonna
for
get you something to drink?
Armalite.
It is Armalite rifle.
Yeah, Armalite rifle. So
Sure. Let me see what you've got.
My selection
Yes.
is a bit limited.
I mean,
right
I don't know
now,
what
but
people
take
are
a look.
thinking. It is manufactured as automatic. I don't. It's
It is semi-automatic.
Yep. It's possible that you could get a fully automatic version, variant, or conversion, but that is not standard, and I don't know anyone who uses that.
Well, the automatic versions. I think the automatic version's the M4. The AR-15 is strictly a semi-automatic civilian version of a military rifle. I think it's the M4, but I could be wrong on that. It's
Maybe.
It is specifically designed and sold exclusively as semi-automatic, to my knowledge.
Okay.
You can. It is. You didn't hear it from me, but it may or may not be possible to, through illegal modifications that I do not recommend anyone does. Disclaimer. It is possible potentially to make an AR-15 automatic, but it is very janky, or it is potentially a very janky and risky process, to my knowledge.
In other words, for legal and mechanical and safety reasons on various levels, we do not recommend this procedure.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Building a faction or something?
It's
Uh,
like the rogue to the paladin. Bro, what are we gonna do? Start a crusade? For legal reasons, it's a joke.
Somebody had me print them this lovely little phone stand. I wonder what it was like. It's kind of weirdly shaped though. Those who don't know. Oh yeah, it is kind of weirdly shaped. Those who do know. Yeah. There's a lot of memes about it.
What are we gonna do? Steal it? For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Bro, I have had like bringing it over to D&D if you want to swap over to that. I've got some stories, man.
Yeah.
Talking about like, you know, firearm legislation and stuff, all our firearm policy. Just be like, all right, so now to D&D. So I had a party member who was a gunslinger who legally purchased what were kind of hand grenades from the proper person to sell them. So completely purchased them completely legally. Except that he didn't realize that the city required permits. It required that you had to get a permit from the guard or the guard's office to purchase exotic weapons, which explosives are considered exotic weapons in the city code. So he bought them, and the dealer I kind of forgot to check his permit, and because he didn't have one. He ended up in the middle of a crowded market when the group reconvened. He told the group, "Yeah, I bought look what I bought," and holds up a grenade in the middle of a crowded market. One of the guards sees this. He's like, I bought some hand grenades, and one of the guards overhears / sees it and comes over and is like, "Oh, hey man, just routine check. Go see your permit for that." And the gunslinger. The next thing he did was one of the stupidest things he probably could have done in this situation. Instead of saying, "Oh, I left it at home. Sorry about that. I'll go get it," he said, "You need a permit for these?" Kind of just, you know, confirming the guardsman's suspicion that he in fact did not have one. And the guardsman was like, "All right, I'm gonna come with me. They ended up finding him for illegal possession of exotic weapons and
confiscating.
Disturbance of peace, because some other people also noticed the grenade and ran. So he got slapped with like a 50 gold fine, and he ended up. What was funny is he got the grenades were confiscated. The grenades altogether cost him 75 gold.
Wow.
So not only was he out 75 gold for the grenades, that he then got them confiscated and had to pay another 50 gold for the trouble.
That's over 100 gold. Oof.
Uh-huh. Yep. He quickly learned, like, hey, be careful what you say in public spaces after that.
Yeah.
Yup. Ended up having another kind of funny thing happen. Another funny thing happened in my campaign I'm DMing last night. If you want to hear about that.
You know, we have this really amazing story. You can actually find this, hopefully, on my sister's channel. I don't know if she started a separate channel for this, but her channel is Adventures in Neon Grove, I believe.
Yeah.
But, we started a new campaign, running it, like, every other week, Thursday night, and so we're a bunch of street urchins, okay? We're just a bunch of kids, okay?
Yeah.
None of us are normal. None of us. Okay?
Oh, we're talking about a D&D party, so I'm not at all surprised.
Okay. Well, none of us are humans, is the thing. It doesn't matter what else that we are, it's just none of us are normal in any... Okay, one of us appears human, but, you know, they're...
Shapeshifter. So, a shifter, right?
They're a kitsune.
Oh, kitsune, okay.
Yeah, they're kitsune. I just say kitsune, so whatever.
Well, it really actually depends. It depends on the mythology you're pulling it from, because like the Magic the Gathering ones from Kamigawa actually just look like anthropomorphic foxes.
I mean, that's how some of them are depicted.
Yeah, and then there's the ones that are human but with like fox-like features, like ears and tails and whatnot, and claws sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny thing about, you know, anthropomorphic fox creatures in folklore.
We're not. I was gonna say we're not gonna take this into a dang furry conversation.
No, not really. But in folklore, they are everywhere. Trust me. There's some Celtic folklore as well. Well, at least that region, maybe not exactly Celtic, but
Yeah.
Anyhow, so this is Pathfinder, so things work differently than 5e a bit. But
Pathfinder is basically
3.5.
most of 3.5e, with like some stuff changed as far as I'm aware. I haven't actually played Pathfinder.
Several minor details changed, as well as there's several differences.
I've not played in a campaign for it, and I haven't really delved into the system to really like. If I learn it well enough, I might DM it. But yeah.
Well, hey, I could always help you learn later on. But I am a half vampire. I'm a Dampire rogue.
You're a Dampire, yeah.
I'm a Dampire rogue. And my sister, who is also in this campaign, is playing a Tiefling Brawler.
Okay.
And
so you have a Kitsune, a Tiefling, and a Dampire. Okay. Dampire, okay.
The Kitsune is a tattooed sorcerer.
Okay, yeah.
So
I kind of know what that is.
Okay, standard sorcerer, but with an archetype that, you know, gives them certain features along with tattoos.
Yeah. Is it something like they can summon things using the tattoos or something like that?
Yes.
I wanted to kind of convert something or write something like that for like 5e. Actually, but I didn't realize that there was already one kind of for Pathfinder.
Yeah, there is.
So, but in mine, I would have made My thought for the character or for the class would have been a subclass of monk instead of sorcerer.
Hmm. I mean,
Like you, yeah,
probably could have found something for that.
yeah.
Um, but
Anyway, you were
aside-
saying?
we have a couple of other characters as well. I think one
Yep.
other. We also had a Skinwalker Blood Rager. They are essentially a they're like a Werecroc Skinwalker, and Blood Rager is essentially just a mix between barbarian and sorcerer, but it's a class all its own that uses
Yeah.
from both. So it's
Sounds
different.
like it could be like Blood Hunter from 5e, kind of. Although actually, Blood Hunter focuses more on curses, sacrificing hit points to inflict curses.
Yeah, that's kind of what Blood Hunter focuses on, but
Yeah, I don't know what Blood Rager does.
Blood Rager is like barbarian sorcerer mix.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's different.
Ironically, those are two classes you probably don't want to mix, or you don't want to multi-class in 5e.
Well,
'Cause then-
there's
'cause-
also Magus, which is essentially just a fighter wizard multi class, but it's one class instead of two. So
Yeah.
you're a half caster, essentially, instead of a full caster. And
But with like
you're
better martial prowess. But you're a half caster with martial prowess.
Yeah, that's probably about what Magus is. Okay, but yeah, we're all street urchins. We're aged, between like 11 and 15. My character being the eldest, and we all have like these kind of gruesome backstories. Now, the thing is, I'm an eldritch scoundrel rogue. I am pretty much like an arcane trickster from.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm the actual rogue, and you know the funny thing, how the stereotype that the rogue's parents are always dead or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the joke is like, so I was like, so what's your relationship with your parents? Ask the rogue, what's your relationship with your parents? It's like, oh, my parents are great. My upbringing was cool. I had a great childhood. No real issues in my life. I just wanted adventure. Just basically, I left a stable home life to become an adventurer. For seemingly no reason. So,
Well, anyhow, it turns out everybody else's parents are dead, and
Yo.
I don't even know if mine are alive or not. I don't even know my parents.
yeah.
So, that's like the funny bit here. But we all get kidnapped and wake up in a bunch of cages. Okay, there's like 2 cages, and there's like, oh, I forgot we have one other character in here. Okay, so they are they're actually half race, not like your standard half orc or half elf. They are a Venaran Undyne mix. Okay, so they're pretty much an anthropomorphic monkey mixed with water elemental.
Yeah.
So we just call them sea monkey.
Yep.
Okay, and they are a kineticist, so think Avatar.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all wake up in cages, and we all look weird, different. We don't give a darn. Okay, we don't give a darn. You know what we do? We just start escaping. Okay, Parrish, our tiefling brawler, manages to squeeze through the bars. Me, I slip through like butter and use my last remaining concealed gun to pick the locks on the 2 cages to allow everybody to escape.
Yeah.
Okay, and it turns out we're in this kind of like storage area, maybe it's some kind of odd warehouse. I don't know, but we start crawling through all the crates, barrels, and everything, and we come across a thug. He's just a like a standard pickpocket. I mean, he's not even looking in our direction.
Yeah.
So so Parrish starts trying to look in one direction. I start going towards the door that likely leads out. And, well, I fumbled my stealth check. We end up making a sound.
Playing hide and seek?
Okay?
Yeah.
Before the guy could even draw a weapon and turn around and, even yell,
But
well, our sorcerer casts Firebolt on him, and I throw it down. And between the two of us, he drops.
Pumping?
yeah.
Okay. But it draws the attention of somebody else nearby. So, I rush over, pick my dagger back up, okay, and I try and chuck it at the guy who's now approaching, and I miss. Okay, and sticks into a barrel next to him. Okay. And then our werecroc tries to bite the guy, misses, okay, and he gets hit by a firebolt from our Kitsune sorcerer. And then Parrish just comes up and nutshots him, and he drops instantly.
Well, after not for a lack of trying.
Yeah. And
So
and
yeah.
from there, we're just wrecking this thing. We continue on, and we find one other person later on who is, just looking down the hallway or something. He's not paying any attention. So, but we don't even have to kill this guy to get past him. You know what I do? I
Yeah.
cast Prestidigitation. Okay, you know what Prestidigitation does, right? It's
I'm aware. I'm assuming it does similar or same thing in as it does in D&D.
yeah, it creates, a harmless effect, clean or soil clothes and other items.
You can do a
too.
small. You could. I think you can. Some might be able to do like a small sound or a small.
Yeah, just a harmless
Yeah.
effect. You know what I do?
Hmm.
I use it to soil his pants.
Yep.
Okay, so he looks down, notices that his pants are now soaked, and he goes,
Yep.
I didn't even think he had to go, and he walks off to some corner, digging through, crates and whatnot to try and find a pair of pants or a way to clean his pants.
Yeah.
So we just sneak past him. We come across 2 more guys who are, looking through a bunch of food barrels. Okay, and they're just looking through barrels, and these guys are messy. So, but I try the same stick. Okay, I try and soil their clothes, and well, they don't give a darn. They don't care. So, instead, I notice that one of them is looking through a barrel of fish. Okay? Barrel of fish. So, I look over, find, hey, there's more fish over here. And I pick up a fish using Mage Hand, and okay, so for this, we're going to say guy number 1 is the guy looking at the fish. Guy number 2 is not. So I pick a fish, and I smack guy number 2 with it using Mage Hand.
Yep.
Okay, so guy number 2 kind of looks up at guy number 1 and gets up all in his face. Like, did you just throw a fish at me, bro? And
What if I did?
and they just start getting into this little argument. And, just to kind of keep it going, I grab another fish and I smack guy number 2 with it again.
Yeah.
Guy number 2 starts to pummel guy number 1. Okay, and he's taking a real beating. But we're all laughing. Okay, ever since I wet the first guy's pants, we were all laughing. Okay, it was just nonstop, and we were laughing even harder now. Okay, so what the Dungeon Master did was he had us roll will saves. Okay, wisdom saves, will saves, pretty much just to determine how good our force of will was.
Right.
Parrish failed her will save and was cackling.
Yeah.
Guy number 2 hears this and just stops the beating he was put down on guy number 1. Knowing we were had, Parrish, uses her spell-like ability, which, because of her sub-race, was Blur. Okay, and she looks like this kind of demonic frilled lizard wearing she wears a mask. Her face is a little disfigured, so she wears a mask that kind of looks like a frilled lizard, and she's got a lizard-like tail as well.
Yes.
So, she gets down on all fours, casts Blur on herself, and starts crawling out, cackling, and she's just this dark, cackling, demonic-looking frilled lizard. Okay, guy number 2, he's just like, I ain't dealing with this, I'm out, and he just walks off. He just leaves. Okay, so he just leaves, and guy number 2, he's in a bit of a daze. He's just been pummeled. So, we just knock him out. We finish the job, we knock him out, we gag him, tie him up, and shove him in the bar. And then we break for lunch. The party literally breaks for lunch, okay? We find some food, we hunker down on the corner, and we just eat. Okay, we're kids, we're hungry. This is an ordeal. Okay, so they're sitting down, having a snack and, kind of exchange names and whatnot. And, well, what ends up happening is we finish up our little snack and we continue on and we come across this other guy. And he's not even looking down the hallway, so I pretty much used a good old fish smack again, except for this time I lay it down a trail of fish leading back to the guy's pants I just sold.
Not that it's an option.
Yeah. So I lay down the trail of fish and chuck another one at the back of his head, and we all hide in a little corner that's out of the way that he ain't gonna see, and he just follows the trail of fish right past us. Supposedly finding the 2 dead corpses and the guy who is now pantsless. And we find the guy that we just scared off earlier, guy number 2. And, well, we decide we're going to mess with him a bit more. And after some advisement, I cast Mage Hand and caress the back of his neck and move the Mage Hand up the back of his head. The guy turns around to see what's going on, see what's there. There's nothing, okay? But, he's looking at more food, so I Mage Hand his food. Okay, it turns out it's a baguette. So he turns around to see this floating baguette. And he gets booped in the head with a baguette, and he passes out. He passed out.
I hate to be the guy that's like, if I were the DM, I wouldn't allow this, but
He was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
But that draws the attention of another guy that we couldn't even see. Again, he comes over, and I'm trying to mess with him now.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite work. And then the pantsless guy and the guy that I led off with the trail of fish, they come running around. Hey, there's something wrong here. And they run into the rest of the party. Our sea monkey freaks out and finally does something. You know what she does? She flash freezes one of the guys. Okay. Flash
Yep.
freezes. Okay. He's now a block of ice. He didn't even get a chance.
Yep.
And the guy who is now pantsless, he's just like, whoa, wait a minute. So, they kind of strike up a conversation with the pantsless guy, and
Really want this to be the last mug you see?
he kind of goes, are you the ones who did this? You know, pointing to his now pantsless legs.
You see him?
And our kitsune is the one responding to him. And he goes,
Just run!
you're in no position to be asking questions right now.
Got him.
Okay.
Lights out for you. Won't be bothering
And-
anybody now.
So, but pretty much, our kitsune and the rest of the party managed to convince this guy to go back to the cages that we just escaped from and lock himself up. And he does. He goes back all the way to the cage, locks himself up, and throws away the key. Supposedly.
Get some, motherfucker!
And from there, we still have this other guy to deal with. Parrish, our brawler, tries to tackle this guy's legs and rolls so badly, she ends up sliding right through his legs.
No need to hide. It'll all be over soon.
Going down.
But I'm still confronting this guy, and I still have my dagger.
Time to ruin it.
So what I do is I just kind of just slit the guy's throat. Okay, I just slit his throat. He didn't even get a chance. He did nothing. I slit his throat. He dead.
Yep.
But from there, things still get a little more interesting. But that was just like session 1, and we didn't even take damage.
Yeah.
Okay, this was like insane.
So do you want to hear what happened with mine last night?
Sure.
Alright, so far in the campaign, the party started out looking for this woman who was missing named Camilla Hereford. They went to this orchard, which is where she was last seen, and kind of found out that this place was a little more than what it seemed, and in order to get these exotic trees that they had to bury people alive, and they would slowly grow into the trees. Because of a curse in the soil, like there's like it's cursed soil. The party shows up, does an investigation, fall for a red herring that the orchard had organized to send them to this goblin warrens, and where they are then ambushed by a group called the Wardens, which are associated with the orchard. The party survives the ambush and goes into the Warrens, discovering that everyone inside, like there's a bugbear named Reginald, there's the guy in charge is a kobold named Boss Man, there's 2 goblins at the door called Left Door and Right Door, the guys guarding the entrance, and then there's a big ogre chef by the name of Spitz. And everyone in these Goblin Warrens is oddly really intelligent and super friendly, and the party's just like, there are goblins living in the cities, but like they're usually like, they're generally usually pretty well mannered, but the ones out in the wilds that live in caves and stuff like this are usually not this like well mannered, and they don't quite figure it out until later, but it's because of the same magic that is causing the orchard area to be cursed is causing this to be blessed. It's because of it's like chaos magic sort of thing. And this area just happened to roll really well on the fortunate versus unfortunate magic stuff. The party goes back to the orchard after finding out that one of the guards was a plant from the Artisans Guild to try to uncover what was going on there. Long story short, they end up finding Camilla. In order to free her, they have to defeat this thing called the Void Walker, which its manifestation is what causes the chaos magic. They defeat him, the curse ends, and Camilla is freed. They get paid, and they are told, "Hey, you can go to the central city of the kingdom called Regalia, and get go to the guild hall, and you'll get like all of you will be made honorary members of the Artisans Guild, and you'll be given a shit ton of money." And they're like, "Awesome! We should probably swing by that orchard since it's close. It's like we just spent the entire night trying to fight all these guys." They go back to the orchard and realize, the magic that, because we defeated the Voidwalker, the magic that was in this area is also starting to fade, and some of the goblins are starting to go feral. So they're like, we need to try to figure out how to restore this, and they decide that the best way to do it is to talk to someone at the Mages College in the city. They make their way to the city, where one of the party members swapped out for a different character. And they kind of unintentionally recruited a necromancer that was about to be expelled from the Mages College to join their party. As they're passing the university, or like all the colleges, because like engineering, artisans, merchants, engineering, and mage. There's an explosion from the industrial district of the city where the power generation stuff is. Because there's like rudimentary power systems that are in like the highest district of the city, which is where the king lives. But one of the warehouses where the warehouse-sized buildings where the generators are, one of them has exploded, and the party decides, "Oh shit, we need to go see what that is." Sorry, I'll try to keep storying down. And so they make their way up that direction, and they find that the path up to the district is blocked by guards cordoning off the area, and they see that the fire is currently being battled by there's a segment of the guard, or a detachment of the guard called the Flyboys, that have like basically like mechanical wing suits, sort of. They have the ability, they can fly. They have like sort of like wing armor that allows them to fly. And then their leader is in like a big like bird sort of themed mech suit. That's like, mostly mechanical, not really like electrical or anything, but it has a little. Anyway, they are. If you want to know kind of what, like, if you want an example of what it looks like, have you played BioShock Infinite?
No.
Oh, look up Songbird from BioShock Infinite, and you'll see kind of what I based the design off of. Anyway, they've managed to maneuver their way through some alleyways to get past the cordon line, and they make their way over to an area just below the industrial district, because a lot of the city they're in is built on a mountain, so the upper more nice districts they're higher up. So, with the Crown District where the king lives being at the top. Anyway, the industrial district is like is below the Crown District. Anyhow, they are like, all right, well, how do we get up there? Oh, hey, let's see if there's like maintenance tunnels under here. And they were correct. There are maintenance tunnels. They go into the tunnels, and they hear like a clicking sound, like, or almost like something like something metal impacting stone, but in like a pattern.
Yes.
And they're like, well, that's weird. And they hear it get louder and then start getting quieter again. So they're like, huh. Well, whatever that was, it must be going away. And they also notice that there is smoke kind of in the upper, like the tunnels they're in has like smoke moving along the ceiling. So they're like, okay, there's definitely some fire down here. We should be careful. They make their way to they follow some signage and find their way into an engineering storeroom, or the main engineering workshop, where there is like lubricant oil, fuel oil, stuff like that stored, because they use fuel oil to fuel the fires for the steam engine, the steam generators, or whatever. I didn't think too hard on how they work. I'm just like, they're steam generators and they use fuel oil. Anyway, they go into this thing, and there's a figure pushing a barrel along, and they're kind of like they don't really notice what it is at first, and then it stands up and looks at them, and they're like, "Oh, it's a Nimblewright." Do you know what a Nimblewright is?
Or are they a sort of construct?
Yes, they're like, think Warforged, but kind of a way more agile, and they're way more agile than or they're basically very agile magical construct robot thing with with a crap ton of resistances and a lot of high armor class and a lot of hit points. The party is like, oh, hey, hi, we're here investigating. Just if we won't get in your way. It doesn't say anything, and they start looking around the workshop. Out of nowhere, it just picks up the barrel. It picks up the barrel it was pushing, and just wings it at one of the party members. He manages to dodge, but the entire floor around him is now covered in fuel oil.
Oh, no.
And basically, I said the fuel oil it basically acts as like a grease spell, and then the artificer also casts grease, so because the Nimblewright's not standing in the oil, so he casts grease under the Nimblewright, so it's also slipping around. And so the party ends up fighting this thing after copious amounts of falling flat on their faces, including the Nimblewright, which really is nimble enough that it shouldn't fall on its face, but boy howdy he did it. They managed to kill it.
Yes.
They managed to also open it up without triggering the explosive charge that was put into its chest. And they managed to get the engravings of the maker's mark basically on it for who built it. And then they decided, you know what, while we're here, we should try to do something about the fire. And they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. And so they asked me, like, are there like water pipes on the ceiling? Because there's like, they need to supply water to the generators. And I'm like, yeah, there's water pipes. And like, because the way it's set up is like, there's two parallel hallways. On one side, there's exits. There's exits to go out to the outside. In the middle, between the two parallel ones, there's rooms with like fuel oil and lubricant oil storage, like more of it.
Of course.
And then on the other side of that, from the exit side, is where the generators are. So, and then that's where like the fires are, and they can get up into the machinery and like So, they figure out that there's 3 that they can get to without walking a huge distance, and the middle one of the 3 is the one that is currently on fire. They figure out they figure out a system where like they tie a rope around it. And it's like, if you have any trouble, we'll pull you back to us. And so they run down. The ranger and the rogue go down to where the fire is. They peer around the corner, and there's a very, very slow trickle of burning oil moving down the hallway. And they're like, okay, we should try to cut this off before it reaches, or before it gets any further. And they look at the pipes on the ceiling and notice that some of them are just a little corroded. Sorry. And so the ranger shoots at one of the weak points with her hand crossbow and manages to do enough damage to break through it. However, the way that the bolt hits it means that the water spray from it is angled towards the ranger, and it also is angled in such a direction that it is in the direction that the oil fire is moving. Now, the ranger and the rogue kind of forgot that physics exists, and that if you put water on an oil fire, it doesn't really put it out. It makes it flare up.
It only makes it worse.
It only makes it worse. And if they'd noticed above them, they thought like the flyboys were dumping water on it initially, and then they realized, oh yeah, this is like an oil fire. So they've gone and started grabbing sand. They've gone and started they have like water and sand and whatnot for putting out fires. And they're currently above where the party is. They're dropping sand down to put out the fire in the warehouse above. They haven't gotten to the one in the tunnels yet, or they haven't gotten down to the tunnels. So now there is this pressurized spray of water spraying down onto this fire, pushing it, and like it's basically it's oil and water mix, and like it flows better, still burns. I'm not gonna get too into the physics of it. Basically, pushes the fire that was moving slowly down the hallway quicker. And so the Rogue and the Ranger just book it. They just GTFO. They run. Behind them, they don't realize that the oil is now flowing into the room that was across the hall from that hallway. What is in that room? Barrels of fuel oil and lubrication. All of which are flammable. Very flammable.
Of course.
So, yes. So here's the thing. I did not plan for that. I kind of was like, you know what? Like, there's it's just a bad place for there to be a fire. So it's probably gonna go like horribly wrong at some point. But I did not expect the party. I wasn't expecting. Yes, I did not expect the party to be the cause of it. Not to mention, the party also did it in one of the worst possible ways, because now they just increased the outflow of the oil by adding the water or whatever. Anyway, they run back to the engineering hub and they're like, all right, yeah, cool. So the fire is worse now. We need to get the hell out of here.
Who's there?
And they're like, okay, we're running. Let's get out. They run back the direction they came from, where they came in, only to notice that there's now a wall of fire blocking the exit, the entrance they came into, or down in that tunnel. Because they also hear the fuel barrels popping and spraying their contents everywhere and catching fire and exploding. And they're like, we gotta go. So they get to the first tunnel they get to, they take it, and they realize, they're like, okay, this is probably also an exit similar to that other one that we were just at, if layout is consistent. And they were correct. However, the exit where they were at, the one that they went to, was bricked over.
Oh no.
But after, a couple of good blasts from an Eldritch Cannon and one good shield ram run from the cleric, they got through it with basically no problems.
Oh, good.
They get out into the alleyway where they were. They smash through the brick wall, they get out into the alleyway. They also noticed that the door that they had gone in, the gate they'd gone through, there is now burning oil trickling down out of that entrance into the alleyway.
Oh boy.
And I mean, it's basically becoming a flood of burning oil, because the room they were in, that room it flowed into had a hefty amount of oil in it.
Yep.
So the party ends up, they're like, okay, so now there's a river of burning oil, coming towards us. We still need to get going. However, the explosions from the inside the maintenance tunnels are now noticeable. They're pretty evident. There's like explosions from underneath. The large mech up on top of the warehouse roof looks down into the alleyway to see if it takes notice of the burning oil, but it also takes notice of the party. It sends out it lets out a signal shriek, and three of the guys that are circling overhead battling the fire swoop down or start to descend towards the party. The party at this point freaks out because they're like, uh-oh, they're gonna blame us for that fire.
Oh no.
And so they're like, they formulate a plan while the guys are descending. Basically, the cleric and the ranger drop into the sewers and run and flee from there because they see sewer grates on the ground. They're like, oh yeah, just drop in the sewer and flee from there. The rogue and the artificer are like both have disguised self. So they both disguise themselves as like, or one disguise the rogue disguises himself as a guard, and the artificer disguises himself as an old man. And they manage to kind of talk their way out of it. Like, I found a straggler. I'm taking him to safety, and everyone just kind of doesn't really question him because he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, just get him out of here. And then the other two make their way through the sewers. They notice that there's now oil dripping into the sewer grates from behind them, so they're like, we should get going. Yeah, that oil flood they caused burned quite a few buildings. So, yeah.
The whole you fools thing.
It's like, you utter buffoons. Anyway, so the other two run through the sewers and they come to a cistern, and they're like, okay, there's probably a maintenance hatch to get out of here. And they find the maintenance hatch. And I learned this from a friend of mine who DMs. We do this thing called high or low. And basically for like inconsequential stuff where there really isn't much of an ability check, you say, okay, roll high or low. More than 10 or less than 10. And if they call it correctly, something good happens. If they call it incorrectly, something less good happens. Or bad. So like if somebody... Like, we'll sometimes throw it in, like, if somebody fails a crucial dex save, like, they're about to fall, like, a really long way, and they fail their dex save to catch the ledge, we'll be like, alright, roll high or low, we're gonna give you a 50-50 chance as to whether you get another save. And if they succeed on the 50-50 chance, they have another chance to save themselves. So it's usually something like that. Or if it's like they climb out of, this time around they called it incorrectly. So climbing out of the sewers, they find themselves surrounded by guards. But the thing is, the guards aren't like mad at them or attacking them. The guards have set up a field hospital in this courtyard where the cistern is. And both of them climb out and make their presence known, and the guards like freak out for a second, like draw like hands on swords because they were just startled, and they're like, wait, we fled into the sewers when we had the explosion. We thought we'd be safe there. They're like, oh, okay. Are you? It's like, oh, okay. All right. Are you hurt? No. And they're like, no, we're good. All right, cool. We can have you if you're not hurt, we advise that you exit the area. We can have someone escort you to the cordon line. They're like, yep, let's do that. Cool. So the party ends up getting out of there unscathed. The rogue and the artificer encounter the flyboys that were looking for them, and the flyboys explain to. They're like, hey, have you seen like some guy, like a bunch of like people running this way? He's like, yeah, they went that way. They're like, oh, okay, good. We gotta find them. We gotta get them out of here. This place isn't safe. Basically, the party fled from a bunch of guys that were going to help them. Like the guys weren't swooping down to like arrest them. They were swooping down to make sure they were okay and get them away from the burning oil.
Yep.
And the party just freaked out on impulse and left. So, although I have developed a thing in this just for like the higher level guards and whatnot, and like basically they have rudimentary radio, like walkie-talkies almost.
Yeah.
And I call them talkie-rockies because they basically have embedded in their helmets, they have miniature sending stones.
Uh-huh.
So they have sending stones that are programmable. They're multi-channel sending stones, and basically they think of who they want to talk to on the radio. They touch the stone on the side of their helmet, and it lets them do a sending with the person they want to talk to on the radio.
Neat.
The thing is, though, they require training and whatnot to use, which the guards have been given. So if the party decides to try to take them and use them, they won't know how because they won't have gotten the training. So it allows me to put in a cool artifact or a cool magical item that would be super busted, or that could be super busted in the hands of the party. But they could eventually get it. They could eventually learn how they work. But they just can't just pick it up and be like, "Cool, I now have this really powerful thing."
I hope you can help.
So,
Just looking to trade a little.
Sure thing.
Well, I have to
Yep.
admit something else happened with another game that I'm supposed to DM.
mhm.
So, this is more of a gangster type RP.
Yeah.
Okay. Think, 1800s.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, more like 1920s, 1930s.
Hey.
Yep.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to personally thank you
So,
for giving us
but,
this
um,
opportunity. Anything specific you want me to do? I'm willing to pitch in anywhere you need.
There's quite a bit of that kind of happens here.
Did you need anything?
Thanks,
but
but I really can't think of anything we need.
They were working for this particular gang. If they're not specifically related to the gang, they have other ties, but the party is pretty much tasked with trying to find the attempted killer of their boss, who also happens to be the attempted killer of several other gang heads. Okay. Quickly they figure out, almost all the other leaders of all the other gangs have had somebody tried to kill them at about the exact same time using the exact same method. A car bomb.
Yeah.
How?
But, so they go, probably not any of the other gangs. So, but they did hear, one of the party did hear, that a kind of mystery group had moved into town.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just like, how about we check these guys out? Well, they set up shop in an old church. Okay, so the party goes to the old church and kind of take a look at it. And one person kind of goes up and knocks on the door, and a hooded figure answers it. Well, actually, no. The kid in the party tried to. They tried to sneak in and ended up running into a cloaked and hooded figure, who kind of just greeted them nicely. But everybody else kind of comes up and goes, "Hey, you probably don't want to be right there. Come on, let's go." But the kid's like, "Hey, do you got candy?" They're just like, no. Okay, then I suppose I'll leave. But then, we have this guy in the party who apparently he has not a serious bone in his body. It's like every time he plays a game, apparently it's the same story of just messing around. Okay, it's good. He's having fun. That's the point. but it's just like he just messes around. That's all he does. Okay, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he middle of the game he tells me that he was actually trying this time. That he was actually gonna try and not ruin the game. Yeah, funny. What ends up happening is he asks if he could use the church's bathroom, and they allow it. And what ends up happening is that he goes into their bathroom and tries to start a fire in their trash can to kind of burn the place down, because apparently the first thing that came to mind was, oh, these are hooded figures. These are probably cultists. They're probably evil. Well, let's burn down their church.
Well, ain't that a blast from the past?
Not exactly what I was expecting, I was just hoping that, the party would ask some questions, maybe get some help, and then be on their way. But no, this guy decides to try and light a fire. So, he leaves, and they're sitting there, and, not much is happening. And he goes back in, asking to use the bathroom again, and they allow it. And he goes back in to find that his fire's been put out. So he tries to light another one. I'll be going to bed soon. But he tries to light another one. Okay, and our dwarf came in with him too, to kind of stand guard. And you know what? That doesn't work so good. But the child manages to sneak in and makes their way down to the basement, where they find some very interesting stuff. But well, the cult kind of catches on, figures, oh hey, they're trying to.
So it is a cult.
Yeah, it is a cult.
Okay.
But these hooded figures kind of catch on a little bit and kind of try and stop this.
Lurks on the loose.
Who's there?
Yeah.
And
Underestimate us again.
start a bit of a fight. Now the child manages to find that there's a tunnel that's been dug out. So the child comes back up, sees there's this huge commotion. She just kind of goes like, hey, everybody, you might want to, escape through the tunnels downstairs. And she just kind of runs off with like 2 people behind her.
They're gone for good. Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
And well, on the way down, she kind of actually drops some caltrops.
I don't think we're alone.
So it stops the first guy dead in his tracks, and the guy behind him, is just kind of stuck because the tunnel that they're going down isn't very wide.
Yeah.
Something out. I'll find out.
So what ends up happening from there is everybody else kind of follows along. And, well, the dwarf pushes the one guy over on top of, the guy that just is now stuck in the caltrops. And, well, guy who stepped on the caltrops is now dead just because he got shoved onto a bunch of caltrops, a bunch of wounds and
Someone's
everything.
coming. I'll find
So
out. Do you think it goes?
he's just dead.
There.
So, and then guy number 2 who was stuck behind him, he's now laying on top of him. So they just kind of walk over. And then, our not so serious guy, he kind of just walks over him as well. not a big deal. And they're running down the tunnel. You know, there's another guy chasing the child. And it's this kind of huge chase, and you know, nobody else kind of follows along. Well, actually, they're still being chased. But it's this huge thing. They just started a huge commotion in church for no reason. You know what? Everything
Seems they
past,
skipped
you know,
town.
introducing the church and hooded people, all of that was improvised, and I wasn't expecting any of it.
What's that?
But they are now in the sewers. They ran past an altar to try and get away from everybody, and they're still being chased.
Guess I should stop.
But hopefully
How
we're
far
going to
down do you
resolve
think it
that
goes?
this week, Thursday.
Someone's coming.
But yeah, it's a bunch of insanity.
Whatever it was, it's still
So it's just
How far
great.
down do you
It's
think it
great.
goes? How far down do you think it goes?
At least they're having fun, and I'm having
Come
fun.
on
How
out.
far down do you think it goes?
So, I mean, it's all good. I suppose. As long as everything's having fun. I just need to prepare a sewer and everything.
You're dead. You hear me?
I hope you were smarter than
Yep.
So, it's fun. All the fun.
You playing hide
Oh.
and seek? Couldn't stay away, huh?
It's getting late. I think you said you had to go to bed soon.
Yeah, and I will. I'm just dealing with a bunch of raiders right now.
Yeah.
It's safe. Now.
Oh.
Nick's just like, you playing hide and seek?
Nick, that was quite a shot. You just
Something out
dropped a
there.
guy. I think he used his revolver. Man, that was
Playing games with me, huh?
quite the shot. There we go. My alerts are actually quite docile. Oh. Whee!
Show your face! Come on! I dare you!
Is my guitar coming through at all?
Nope.
Okay.
There's still one more raider, wherever he is.
Gotcha.
Okay, I think I shot his crotch out and he exploded. Is that really all it takes for you guys to explode? A shot to your nuts? Interesting. Yeah, beginning of...
back! I was having fun!
Where are you? You said you were having fun. Where are
When
you?
you turn up, you're dead.
It have to be the day you
Sorry,
die.
who's dead? When you turn up, you're dead. I
You
beg to
building a
differ.
collection or something?
The world's crazy. Everything's crazy. Don't sexualize kids. Let them grow up normally without being indoctrinated. You know, don't allow kids to determine their own age at 5 and then turn around and say that, you know, 18 is not old enough to own a gun. We got real issues here that could be addressed in many different ways, okay? Fix. Okay, we got a lot of mental health issues. Why don't we fix those for once, huh? Okay, I mean, it's nothing new.
As solving the problem means that it can't be used for political leverage. As you know, jaded as that sounds.
That makes a lot of sense. Although then
That's why we've been. How long have we been trying to cure cancer for? Like, how long has there been cancer cure research? Here's the thing. I personally, and this is a very, you know, like, black pill view that I have on this. The reason why there hasn't been like any major breakthroughs, or at least public major breakthroughs, big news ones in cancer research, is because if they actually cured cancer, well, there's there's drugs and stuff that are used for treatment, you know, like chemotherapy and other stuff like that. That stuff costs a lot of money and makes a lot of money. It's essentially like, if you why cure it? Like, some people who look at it like, why cure the disease when you can sell the treatment, or when you can sell a treatment to someone forever.
Yeah, the two reasons why things aren't done, or aren't done quickly, or aren't done right, is because it's not nearly as profitable one way or another. The only reasons why people don't actually fix the problem, why they kind of just either put it off or you know, whatever, you know, just not really
Which
fix
some people will
it's
people will jump in.
Money or power, that's about it.
This is where the lefties or the commies will jump in and be like, this is a failure of capitalism. It's like, well, no, it's just greed. Greed exists in all systems.
I mean,
It's not.
Okay. Communism is essentially all the power going to the government.
Yes, but then what? Like, the government already does the same shit they're complaining about. They're like, this is a failure of capitalism. Let's give it to the government that does this anyway, or that already does the thing that we want them to, that we don't want businesses to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's why do you think, like, the military-industrial complex, for example, that, like, there's some wars, like some of the more recent wars, like, did we need to be there that long? Did we really even need to be there in the first place?
Yeah. There's some of those.
And it's like, well, the answer was obviously yes, because there was money to be made.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, money and power go hand in hand. Power corrupts, so does money.
Yep. And
It doesn't mean like, because there are corrupt people, doesn't necessarily, like, at the higher levels, doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you shouldn't own your own stuff. Like, I think the whole thing with, like, the people who are advocating for communism are like, we need, like, the people at the top are like, control the people at the top are the problem. Let's put all of the power at the top, and hope that this same thing we're complaining about that's currently happening doesn't happen.
it's already happening because those people are at the top.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's also a lot of it's
power as they have right now.
I said, let's accumulate the power at the top. It's like, okay, cool. You've now taken the problem that we have and made it even worse. Like, let's fix this problem by making it basically unfixable to a certain point. Like, you give the government the power to just regulate everything, and then it's like, well, cool. You've now basically made it the only thing you can do if that's this government you've given all the power to decides, well, you know what? I think that you guys aren't doing what I want you to do. So now I'm just gonna start, you know, if you don't do what I want, you can't buy food. You don't do, like, if you accumulate that much power in one place, it's just it basically automatically makes it desperate, and then it also makes it renders the diplomatic options basically moot. It's like the government holds all the cards, and it's like, well, the only one you're left to resort to is, I hate to say it, violence.
We generally want to avoid violence, so don't do communism in the first place.
My view on violence is it's basically be as peaceful as you can, but make sure you are still capable of violence should you need it.
I would say that is a very good policy.
It's basically. Let me see if I can actually pull up the quote quickly, because I had it. There was a good quote that I agree with.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
No, it's you cannot truly call yourself peaceful unless you are capable of great violence. If you are not capable of great violence, you are not peaceful. You are harmless.
It's like, look, I can tear you to pieces limb from limb if I wanted to. I'm choosing not to.
Yeah. I'd bring up another quote here, but I'm not allowed to mention that guy on YouTube. And no, it is not. No, it is a modern figure, not someone from the mid 20th century. For anybody to just be like, is he quoting that guy? No.
Okay, wait.
JBP. Initials are JBP. He's a doctor.
Not quite ringing a bell, but I mean, still,
First name is Jordan. Last name starts with P. Yeah, anyway.
I'll probably
Yeah.
look at him later. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, with you know, America's quote-unquote gun problem, it's not a gun problem. I would say it's a crime problem. We have a general crime problem. It's not the guns. It's crime and mental health that we have an issue with, and people using guns to you know, do whatever they want to along with their crime and mental health.
Actually, here's my take on it. So one thing that a lot of people will put out there is that crime is a result of poverty, which I, to an extent, do agree with. The issue that a lot of these people will then do is take it to the next step and say, poverty exists because oppression or racism or capitalism or something like that, which I do not necessarily agree with. I agree, well, in some places you could make the argument, in others I don't think so. But basically, I will agree with that poverty is generally a cause for crime. It's not the only cause. It's not the sole cause, but it is certainly a factor that like, you notice how, you know, more impoverished areas will have higher crime rates. It's certainly a contributing factor. Now, the problem with, here's the thing. The reason why there are these places that are, like, I will say, for example, Chicago and Baltimore and Los Angeles, very deep blue areas, because, you know, the blue candidates keep saying, I'm going to, you know, solve this poverty issue, I'm going to solve this crime issue, I'm going to do stuff like that. And they get into office and then they're like, okay, so poverty causes crime. These people are only committing crimes because they're poor. And why would I punish them for being poor? So they let criminals go. They let people who commit crime go to basically recommit. And they're easy on the policing. They do nothing or very little to actually, you know, enforce the laws.
Yes.
But then they say, cool, now let me solve the poverty issue. And then they're like, how do I solve the poverty issue? Welfare. And they say, well, I'm going to give people money to give them a baseline to live off of, which on paper sounds great. Like you're given it's basically a stipend. You're given a stipend to live off of. It's there. It's money to help you cover the necessities.
Yeah, but
hold on. Let me finish.
Use that.
But it's not that people will abuse it, but it is also a crutch. It is a double-edged. It's a bait hook essentially. They say here is your money, because it's the concept of give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him to fish, he will eat for a lifetime. The welfare is the fish. It's like if you're given the free handout, it disincentivizes you to do anything that would make you not be able to receive that handout, i.e. get a better paying job, or learn a skill and start making money that way. Like it does. Like if you're getting the free money, why would you want to give it up? It's free money. So
it's empowering you to not be.
It's enabling.
Contributing.
It is an enabling factor. It enables you to not. It enables you to not better yourself, to stagnate. And the thing about that is, another thing on top of that is it's also a dependency. It makes you, if you are relying on that welfare, you are dependent on the government. You're dependent on the person giving you the welfare. And if the blue guy, there's the blue guy on the stage and the red guy on the stage. The blue guy on the stage says, "I'm going to continue to give you that welfare money." The red guy on the stage says, we might give you the money, but we're gonna require you to actually, do something to eventually get off of that, or we're going to enforce the rules with it that exist and say if you get unemployment, you basically have to apply to jobs to actually get unemployment. You have to show you're making a conscious effort to get a job. And basically, anyway, that's a tangent. But essentially, it makes it like you have the guy that says, "I'm going to be lax on those requirements, and I'm going to continue to give you the money." The red guy says, "I'm going to give you, we might give you the money if you need it, but we expect you to not need it after a while."
Yeah.
And if you become dependent on that money, then you don't want to. You'll vote for the blue guy every time. And then that blue guy problem with a thing that doesn't actually fix the poverty problem. It's just taking people's taxes and just giving them a bit of it back, and not actually solving anything. And in fact, just kind of keeping people stagnated in poverty. They're not actually solving the poverty problem, and then because they're not solving the poverty problem, the fact that they keep and they're like, and we're gonna be like that until we solve the problem. But the thing is, they're not gonna solve the problem, because if they solve that problem, well, there goes their meal ticket. There goes all those guaranteed votes. There goes that cushy seat in the governor's office or the mayor's office or something like that. They can't actually solve the problem. They make it look like they're trying to solve the problem or alleviate the problem. But in reality, all they're doing is ensuring its longevity, so that they can get those votes. It's basically trick people, do the sleight of hand to be like, "Look, guys, I'm doing stuff. We're trying things.